I heard you wanna. I heard you wanna chat with your girl. Chat with your girl. Chat with your girl. Chat, 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 chat. Business and beauty. Come and confess how you make your money and say yes to the gas.
Hello. What's up, Mac Daddy?
I'm so glad we're finally doing this.
Yes,
literally.
I've had to beg.
How long? Like months?
Months.
I was supposed to be the first guest. How am I like the 10th one?
Girl, you're busy. Well, hello, guys. Today we have a very special episode. We have the one, the only Mac Daddy. Mac Daddy, aka Angel Merino, is the CEO of Artist Couture. Not only is he a sickening makeup artist and CEO, but he's the king of turning the fuck up. If you have not been to Club Daddy, you must go.
Oh my God. Is that my new title?
I mean,
you think so? Do you think I'm known as like the party girl? I was actually talking about this with my friend the other day. Is that the moment?
Yes. I think pre-COVID, every time I would blink or like flip the next story, you were in Paris. You are in a brand trip with a brand. You are
at Catch.
At Catch. Today, we're going to talk about your success and also balancing that success with owning your persona and party life as Mac Daddy. And I want to break it down. You're honestly so successful to me. I've known you for so long.
Like pre-Instagram days, I feel.
Yeah, literally when you were on the toilet FaceTiming me at Mac.
I remember
break.
that. Yeah.
In your Viva Gum Ricky.
I actually have very vivid memories of being in my room at my mom's house and us FaceTiming. Mm-hmm. Like literally, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Crazy. My earliest memory of you was, I believe, when I was living at home in Orlando at my parents, and there was this app called Keek.
Oh my God, Keek.
And I think you replied.
Wow.
It was purely video, so you can upload videos.
This was like before Instagram
and
videos.
like reply to videos. Yeah, this is back in 2012, where you would like reply, and I think you were in your like Nicki and Ricky shirt, Viva Glam shirt at work one day, and you replied to one of my things, and I was like, oh my God,
that is so funny.
Mac Daddy knows me. And then it was from there.
Isn't it crazy just to think of like the evolution of social media, our careers, and just like how much things have changed? And it honestly hasn't been that much time, I feel. Like it has, but it hasn't.
It's been a long time.
You think so? Does it feel like a long time to you?
Well, I mean, you've done so much. I think from being a celebrity makeup artist, you have done, let me check my cards. You have done celebrities like Tinashe, Chanel Iman, Christina Milian, Mel B, and Carucci back in 2015.
And Ariana Grande.
Who was a consumer of Artist Couture, who was a customer.
You know, I can, yeah, I love her. I feel like everyone knows I'm obsessed with her. So when I talk about her, I feel like nervous because I don't want people to think I'm literally like psychotic.
Well, also, by the way, guys, if you're listening, Artist Couture has been so gracious and generous to lend some of your products for a giveaway on the Say Yes to the Guest Instagram. So if you guys want to check it out,
I'm excited.
Check it out.
Someone's going to win a lot of good stuff.
Your shit is so good. Is so good.
Your stuff is good.
Thank you.
I love everything you do.
Thank you. It's so crazy because I remember your first collab was with the Morphe brushes.
Isn't that insane?
The gold set.
Oh my God. Honestly, that is crazy. You know what I love though? I really love how the beauty space, like we're kind of taking over, like influencer owned brands. I'm loving kind of like what's happening where like influencer brands are coming to the forefront and just really kind of having a moment. And I love that we support each other.
Yeah,
that's
I think
that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I was talking to this about, I think to Nikita and Patrick Todd, also with Manny, like and now you, like we have this, like in this culture where we grow up non-dedicated, we have to fuck with each other because I think the notion back in the day with traditional makeup artists was that you stand your own.
Yeah.
And so like never would I ever picture Charlotte Tilbury and Pat McGrath and NARS using each other's makeup, but like we're such supporters of each other because that's how the consumer buys too, and I think it's important. And plus we're already friends before we even had our
and you know what's crazy to me, like when I worked at MAC, I was such a MAC whore. Like my entire kit was MAC, and if it was not a MAC product, like I did not want it in my kit. And it's crazy now to think that like you said, like the consumers, like everyone just shops for everything everywhere. It's not like just like one brand. And I feel like back then it was just like one brand, you use one brand, you only use one brand, it's only one brand in your kit. And I love that like now it's so diverse and there's so many different, you know, things and categories. And even when it's the same stuff, like I like that we can all give it our own take and our own perception and our own spin on like different categories of products. So I think that's really cool.
Now we're all talking about like where we are now, but let's go back to how it got started. What's your background again?
My parents are from El Salvador.
El Salvador,
Central
the
America.
pupusas.
Pupusas
Down.
You need to have my mom's pupusas.
I know. I've been waiting. I never get to catch her.
You know, actually, fun fact: all of my mom's friends follow you.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
She randomly brought you up the other day. I'm really trying to remember like what it was, but it was something super random, and I was like that. It was just like so random. But all of my mom's friends actually follow you and they live for you.
That's cool. Well, tell her I said hello, and I need an order of pupusas.
No, when she comes over and makes some next, I'm gonna invite you.
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
Now, being one of the first boys in beauty, when did you get your start? Because I did some digging and researching something about being on a dance team, wanting to have everyone look glam because they were looking a little bit Raggedy Ann, and being the control freak that you are, you wanted to look sickening. You're always about a look head to toe in a production with a dance, so that's why I feel like we.
I know that's why we live for each other, because that's exactly how you are. I actually thought that I was gonna have a career heavily in dance. Like I was a huge like dance junkie. My mom literally like saved money to put me in dance classes when I was really little. I started dancing when I was like 10. It was a huge passion of mine. I remember being like 15 with like a driver's permit and coming to LA to like audition. I was living back home in Riverside with my mom, and I remember just feeling so discouraged every time I would go to auditions.
Why?
Because I would always get cut the first round, and I knew that it wasn't because I wasn't talented, and I knew that it wasn't because I wasn't retaining the choreography, because I was. And when I really kind of took a step back and looked in the room, I realized that I didn't look like everyone that was making it to the next round. It just really discouraged me, and I'm a very real person with myself, and I just realized like I wasn't gonna make the type of living and I was gonna live the lifestyle that I wanted in dance. So I kind of shifted the gears and I started teaching, and then I actually started the dance team at my high school, which now they're like the bomb. And I remember, you know, Roxy J, my best friend Roxy J, me and Roxy J started our dance team at my high school. We like found a teacher to be like our sponsor, you know how they gotta like stay after school or whatever. And we would go to competitions. I've always been super competitive, not like in an unhealthy way, but just like, you know, I just love competition.
Drive.
Love it. Very Bring It On vibes. Very Big Red. I was very Big Red of the house. I remember we would go to these competitions and I'd be like, damn, like all these other teams are like bomb, like hair, makeup, the looks. And we were, you know, from, you know, the city of Riverside, you know, the hood. I was just like, you know what, like we need to like jazz things up. We need to kick it up. So I just started doing everyone's makeup before competitions, and I wasn't good
in high school. You're still in high school. Okay.
Yes, and I wasn't good. But when you compete, it's all about uniformity. So if you have a black dot above your left eyebrow and a red lip, everyone needs to have the exact same black dot and red lip. So it wasn't so much about like skill and like being good. It was more so like making everyone look the same. And that's just kind of how it started. And that's kind of like how I kind of really started to get my feet wet with makeup. I love that now I can merge both of those passions of mine, because dance is still a huge thing to me. It literally fills my soul, and it's really cool now that I'm able to do projects where I can like merge the two.
When I look at you like in what you have, I've been to your office, I've been to your warehouse, I've just been a fly on the wall like at campaign shoots, which I think is so cool.
You were at my last one, actually.
Yeah, your last one, your most recent.
Yeah, that was fun.
Campaign. So inspirational to me that you have a team that rides or dies you, because you guys were shooting all
literally. I mean, you know about these long shoots.
I know.
You know.
I know, but you shot 2 campaigns in a day, literally, for so long. When I hear your story now, you already had this gene of being a natural team builder from back in high school. So starting a dance troupe with Roxy J.
I've never thought of that.
Think about it.
I've never thought about that.
And Roxy J still is on your team today.
Yeah.
Building
Shout out
this
to
team.
Roxy J.
Yeah, but also with you, like uniformity, branding.
I've never actually thought about like those parallels. So it's actually very enlightening to me that you're saying that, because I can kind of see how like we take these skills that we have and we can apply them to different avenues. And for me, you're totally right. I've always been like a huge cheerleader for like people on my team, but also very like tough at the same time, because like Roxy J will let you know, like those girls on that dance team, we had moments, okay, girls were quitting left and right, and I was like, bye, you know what I mean? Just like, because I'm just really tough, but I'm tough because I see potential and I just want to like pull it out of people. So even like with my team now, I feel like, you know, I'm really tough with the way that I want things done and the way that we like run our business, but I feel like that's kind of what's made us still be here. You know what I mean? It's like I started my brand in 2014, almost 7 years later. Like the fact that we're still here, I think is a huge testament of, you know, how hard we work, for sure.
Now, for going going from high school to then the next step in your life, was education or college like in the path, or did you just want to be a makeup artist because you loved it? That I don't know. I feel like that's the part that I don't remember.
Okay, so fun fact, actually, I like low-key almost didn't graduate. High school, girl, it was a mess. In high school, my senior year, I basically ran the dance team. I was in yearbook. I also did cheer my senior year. I was in choir. I was in show choir, and I was in ASB. ASB was my favorite. So I would just, the Associated Student Body, like we just run everything.
It's government. Okay.
So I just like was never in class, like ever.
Everywhere else in school,
I was just not in class. I was not in class.
Their primary,
literally, at all. And my excuse was always like, oh, I have to do something for ASB or like da. But I would literally host pep rallies at my high school, and the dance team always performed. We always shut it down.
Hosting pep rallies,
exactly. Yeah, I'm literally having like an epiphany right now, like this breakthrough, talking to you and thinking about like high school and how it kind of correlates to my life now. But I was just never in class, and I remember specifically my first period class was English, and the week before we were supposed to like walk. Let me see you walk. I don't know why about that.
You mean for graduation?
Yeah. So your teachers have to sign off that you're getting a passing grade, blah blah blah. And I remember going to my English class, and she was like, I'm not passing you. And I literally was like, excuse me. And she was like, bitch, you were never in class. Like, you have all these missing assignments. And I literally was like, girl, we need to figure this out. And she was not trying to fuck with me. My grandparents that live in El Salvador were literally flying in. Everything was already to see me walk. Okay. Literally, I started freaking out, and I'm like, there's no way that like I am not going to graduate. Like, how is that possible? High school too? I've had a job since I was 14 years old.
Where a full time.
I was working at the mall. I was working at a kiosk selling hair tools.
That's right.
So I ended up doing all of the missing assignments. Literally, like, I remember just being in my room for like 2 weeks straight.
Okay, Roxy J, you better help.
2 weeks straight. Right, girl. I was getting, all the help. But I just remember doing all of my missing assignments. Like, I just like did them in hopes that she would accept them and find a little soft spot in her heart to make me pass. And I turned in all of my missing assignments, most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And she literally passed me with like the bare minimum. I think it was like a 60%, like something like that. Like, it was like literally by the skin of my teeth, like literally. And
you got to walk into the whole fantasy.
And I felt the fantasy.
A high school fantasy.
You know what's funny too is for my high school graduation, everyone was so happy to graduate. Like, everyone was like ready to leave. And I remember walking, because we had the little track, and your parents are on the bleachers. I was literally bawling my eyes out, like walking. And it was really touching to me, because my parents divorced when I was 11. And when my parents divorced, my dad moved to El Salvador. So basically it was like, a single mom household. And I remember like seeing my mom and my dad and my grandparents in the bleachers, and I lost it. My cancer ass, emotional as fuck. And I just lost it. And I was literally just like bawling my eyes out the entire ceremony. And everyone's like, are you okay? Because everyone's just like so excited to just be done. I just like loved going to school and not going to class, but like doing all the other stuff. You know what I mean? So I was sad. College.
Okay.
I basically did it for my mom. It wasn't because I wanted to.
What were you studying?
I was just doing like general ed stuff, like literally.
And then you ended up picking up a job at Mac.
Exactly. And I ended up dropping out of college, and my mom was like so upset. And I think too what it is like because, my mom like migrated to this country, and she like did all this stuff to like better herself and her life and give me a better life. I think like back then, before social media, like the only way to really be successful is like traditional ways, going to school and getting a degree. So for her, it was always like, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a lawyer, I want you to be this, I want you to be that. Like, it just was not for me. I got a job at Mac. And that's when I was like, you know what? I would rather work full time. When I dropped out of college, my mom was like not happy at all. It was like a thing.
Was Mac and social media then the spark of like?
It was like the beginning of time.
Did you find a community then like me, or did you find other IG artists?
It was all about the Mac artists on Instagram. I felt like, remember before Laura Arellano was Laura Arellano? She was Lorelai Cakes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Lorelai Cakes.
And then like Lipstick Nick, she worked at Mac. I remember like Lipstick Nick, I Love Sarai. She worked at the Mac in Temecula.
I will say though, I was very insecure about saying that I worked at Mac, because I was never like you guys with the jewelry. Like, I was not given any necklace, no pin, no brush belt. And here you guys,
low-key Mac was shady for that.
No, but I didn't even get a Viva Glam shirt, and I was expected to push. Yeah, I was like so, I don't want to say mistreated, but I just felt so left out, because I was only a freelancer. And then to see you guys, I was like, I guess I'm the fake Mac artist, because
Well,
'cause
even
it was just counterculture back then.
No, 1,000%. But even working for Mac, it was like hella segregation from like, were you like a 12-hour artist or an 18-hour artist
Very
or a
bad.
24-hour artist
Or full time.
or 38 like I was, you know?
Did you learn a lot at Mac that you took to social media or to stuff today?
Yeah, I mean, I literally would post like befores and afters of all my clients, which I think is kind of what really started like more traction like on my Instagram. And then I would post photos of myself. And then, we would go to like update. So every time we would go to update, which was basically like their trainings that they broke down everything that's launching and inspiration and everything about it. And I remember like going back to like the counter, and when we would get product, because we would get it weeks before it launched, I would do like swatches and like little like tidbits on like the collection and what it was and how to use it. And it just became like very like educational, I guess, like with videos and tutorials. It's so funny because sometimes I'll go on my Facebook, because I had my Instagram linked to my Facebook. So I have an album on my Facebook that's private, but it was like all my old Instagram posts from when I worked at Mac. Girl, collages, like what are those and why? You know what I mean?
We all used to do collages back then.
And not even just like collages, but it was like the freaking like thick ass like
Border.
colored borders. I'm just like, okay, what is
with the
this?
Valencia filter.
Oh my God.
We thought we
Literally,
were
I was
so
gagging
cute.
because I thought I was really doing something.
We all
And then
did.
I'm like looking at this like, okay, who the
But you
hell?
know what? Our makeup looks sickening because there weren't face altering filters. It was just a color filter. So I think that really showed our talents.
Yeah.
Like seeing your highlight and contour, bitch, you used to fucking highlight white
White
under your eye. And then
Oh
I would
my
see
God.
Karen's. I loved how to use liner. But those weren't altered. Now people are toning
Yeah.
and face tuning their makeup to
Yeah.
look much better. But I think with
And
our
this was
generation.
also me pre-lip filler.
Oh, I
seeing
have
myself-
my pictures.
Seeing
I still have
myself.
pictures.
Oh my God. You have the one from when we were on FaceTime.
Yeah.
Literally me pre-lip filler is like not the same person. Like at all. Like I'm literally like, who is this bitch?
All of us.
Like shook.
Well, okay, so let me just jump back and forth. So you're wearing makeup. I assume you're out at this time.
Yeah.
And then I read that you asked your mama to sew your Guess olive green body pouch and then found your makeup and spooked your tea.
This was kind of going like during my high school days. So I didn't really come out to my mom. She dragged me out, girl.
Oh, she
dragged me out of the
did.
closet. She sure did.
She dragged you out and then
She
you
dragged
started
me out.
drag. Okay, we'll get to there next. So she dragged you out and then you
I don't
got
know what you're
into
talking
drag.
about, Pat.
She dragged you out and then you got into drag. So we're gonna make that connection
who
now.
did all this research, girl? What is going on?
I mean, it is what it is. So she found your makeup and then
Yeah.
she dragged you out.
I had- yeah.
What was that like?
I was going.
How old were you?
I was like 17.
Okay, before
Yeah.
graduation.
Girl, it was a lot. I was under a lot of stress that year.
Okay.
But yeah, I had like this little like crossbody pouch that I bought at Guess, and I had my little studio fix in there. She had caught me wearing makeup before this, and she basically was like, "This is not okay. We're not doing this." What I would do is I would bring my studio fix powder in my bag, and when I would go to work, I'd go in the bathroom and I'd put on my makeup
At the kiosk.
at the kiosk, and then I'd take it off before I went home. I was going to dinner. I think it was like a friend's birthday or something, and it was like a stitching from the side. And my mom sews, so she literally was like, "Oh, let me like fix your bag," and she like grabbed my bag. And when she grabbed it, it was like this like crazy like reflex where I was like, no, like don't grab my bag. And obviously, if you do that to your parents, they're gonna be like, "What the hell are you hiding in there?" She wanted my bag, and I was like, "I don't like. I'm fine. Like just leave the bag. We don't need to sew her up. Just let her be." And she was like, "No, like what are you hiding? What are you hiding? What are you hiding?" And then she finally took the bag. She found the makeup, and then she asked me. She was like, "Girl, are you gay?" And I just started crying. I started crying.
In your room, where was this? Like
We were literally like in the living room,
In
and
the
I
sala.
just started bawling. I guess for me, and this is why I love what's happening with like our culture now. I had no one back then to talk to about anything. I think there was like 2 other guys that were openly gay in my high school. I just saw the way that they got ridiculed, and I technically was not out in high school, and I wish that I would have been. I think like everyone like knew and suspected. Obviously, like I'm on the fucking dance team in choir and shit. You know, she had a little.
You didn't have a boyfriend. You weren't
step.
thoughting and bopping
I
at
did.
17.
I did.
You were thoughting and bopping at 17.
I wasn't thought and bopping, but I was like seeing someone.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll never forget him. His name was Johnny Ramos, and he lived in. He lived in Paris. He went to Paris High School, and he was my boyfriend. And I was like 16. We would meet up in downtown Riverside. Anyway. Not going into this like downward spiral. Anyway, see, now I forgot the damn question.
No, but so you coming out, that
Okay,
was
yeah.
hard.
It was just hard because I just didn't have anyone to talk to. There was no Instagram to like see anyone.
Do you think it's easier now, like for people to
100
express themselves? I think so
100
too.
100. And I take pride in feeling like we were trailblazers when it comes to that, because we were like, you know, on Instagram and social media, like being our authentic selves when everyone is saying this isn't the tea, and we're, you know, it took a lot. And I'm glad that we did it, because I feel like, you know, we paved the way, and just like people before us did, you know, for us to like have rights and all these other things.
So if there's like a little angel or like a similar situation that someone is experiencing, would you change anything if that were to happen now? What would you tell other moms here that may be experiencing their gay child?
I will say, even though my mom pulled me out of the closet, I'm glad that she did, because I don't know if I would have ever really built the courage to tell her. I just don't know when I would have.
Do you
told
feel
her,
like
to be
you're
honest.
lucky? Did she just accept it like right away, or it took time? I imagine
yeah.
you sneaking the makeup.
Yeah.
All right, she found the compact. Now I can get blush. Now I can get bronzer. Now next thing you know, there's fucking lashes
Yeah.
and
You
all
know,
this stuff.
I don't know why I was so scared. And I think I was just scared because it was foreign to me, the way that I was feeling, and not really having anyone to talk to about it. You know what I mean? I had an older brother who's 10 years older than me. He gave my mom a lot of stress, and, you know, he was a handful. So I felt like I needed to
You
be
had to
like
uphold.
the perfect
Okay,
child.
I
And I
see.
had to like, I just didn't want it. And then, you know, her going through, you know, the divorce with my dad and feeling devastated by that. I just felt like I didn't want to be another thing that was like a disappointment to her, you know?
So when in your career, out of all the accolades that you've accomplished, you knew that she was proud of you,
Yeah.
being this flamboyant gay CEO entrepreneur, which moment was the first time you knew that she finally got it? Because I think for a lot of us, and a lot of maybe kids listening, like, yo, my parents are never gonna fucking get it. And that was me. Like, I think for all of us, it's like, I'm sitting here in a red fucking wig, like, no one is gonna get it. So which of the times?
I mean, honestly, there's been so many.
What was the first?
I would probably say like when I started my brand, and when I started, a lot of people don't know this actually. When I started my brand, it wasn't makeup. I was selling brush belts. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember ordering like from Alibaba like makeup brush belts, like these little pleather black brush belts.
And you're ordering them to the house.
And I ordered them.
I
ordered
remember
like
you
100.
were,
And I would come to downtown LA. I'd go to the little like fashion district, and I'd buy like buttons and pins and patches and all this stuff. And I would literally like design like these like brush belts. And I was like selling them for like $60, $70, $80 a pop on Instagram. And my mom would help me make them. And I remember
she just knew. And you have to explain to her, or she was just like with it?
She was just with it. My mom knows that I've always been a little hustler. I've always been very business savvy, because my mom's always been that way as well. Like my mom, like she literally was like, you know, like those ladies that are like having like the parties selling like body shapers and stuff. Like that was me and my mom. Like my mom would literally have host parties, and she'd invite all her friends. She'd sell body shapers. Here comes my little ass. I was literally like 9, 10.
Wearing the body shaper.
Wearing the body shaper. No, I was like co-signing everything my mom would say, and I'd be like, you guys need this, and like everyone just thought I was like so cute and outspoken and funny, and they'd just like buy everything. I'll never forget it too. We lived in an apartment complex, and we would go to like the grocery store, and my mom would buy me like chocolate bars, like 3 for $1, and she'd buy me like Capri Suns and sodas and chips. And I had a little table, like as soon as you opened the door, I had a little table off to the side by the wall, and I'd have like a whole little store, and all the little kids that lived in the apartment complex would come and buy like sodas and chocolates. And like I very very early understood like, okay, if I'm spending $1 and I'm getting 3 chocolates and I'm selling each one for 75 cents, like there's a profit here. I've always just been that way. I've always just had this like little hustler mentality. And I get it from her, and she knows that. So I feel like once I started to kind of like get older and like Instagram and like I started some type of business, I feel like she knew like I was gonna be okay. She knew I was gonna like figure it out and I was gonna be good. And I feel like when she had that realization, that's when she was like, okay, I'm proud and I'm good. And I think like as parents, they just want us to be good, and they just want us to be set for life, you know? So I think that once she saw that like that was gonna happen, I think that that's when it was like, you know, it's cool that he's not going to college anymore. It's fine that he decided to take this different path.
Wow. Which leads you to Artist Couture today. And how old is Artist Couture now?
So I actually started the brand in 2014, but I like to say that the first 4 years were like a wash. Super trial and error, really early on, a lot of mistakes, just understanding the business. And again, doing it from literally like on my own without having anyone to any capacity guide me or show me anything. So technically going on 7 years, but in my mind, it got real in 2018.
What made it real?
Sephora.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember that was huge.
I literally remember one of my employees at the time working in customer service. It took her weeks to tell me that there was an email that came through from Sephora to our customer service email because she thought it was fake. She literally thought it was fake. I was like, girl, like check the email address. If it's coming from @sephora.com, girl, that's not fake. And we finally realized they actually had ordered a bunch of product from us before even emailing us. I think that they just maybe wanted to see. And I remember getting on a call with them. And this is early. You know what I mean? This is early.
2018 was when you signed or when you got the offer?
When we like signed, and it was like a whole thing. But the conversations were happening in 2017, and I think this is still very early on from like influencer brand culture.
Very
you know
early.
What I mean?
I'm not even a year old.
So for me, it was like huge, and I remember like getting on a call with them, and literally as soon as I hung up the phone, I just started bawling in my car, like bawling in my car.
And so by that
my little
point-
red Corolla, Andrew, you remember my little red Corolla? I was like bawling in my little red Corolla, and then I flew to New York. I flew to San Francisco to meet them, and it just happened. And I just remember just being so happy and just feeling so proud.
Well, the thing is too, it's like you're always so confident to me.
Really?
And yes, the dancing that's working and all that. Like, was there any like fear in like starting your own business?
I mean, yeah, 100%.
From the brush belts,
sure. Yeah.
100 sets to now,
Yeah.
hundreds and thousands of dollars on the line. What is one fear and how did you overcome it? Mine is like starting. I was like dreading to start.
I mean, the starting part, but then also like the investments that you make. I think a lot of people think that like I have like investors or whatever. I literally solely own the entire brand. So it's all like literally my money, like that it's being ingested into the brand. And when you think about like these projects, as you know, these projects, these purchase orders, honey, they're very expensive, you know? I think like that's always kind of like a big fear with like launching product and creating these collections. It's like you're spending so much money, not only on like the purchase orders.
So much money. I know influencers are probably listening like, I want to have a brand. My big dream is to have a brand one day.
I mean, it's a lot.
So
it's
much
a lot.
money. How did you grasp learning how to divide your spends and stuff, or like how to like manage a business and divide those spends and scale and grow and stuff?
I mean,
like
it's
that?
still honestly a work in progress. I'm still learning, you know.
From where though? From books, YouTube?
I feel like now in the game and the industry is involved the way that it has, I feel like now there's people that have been very gracious to give me advice or, you know, things like that. And just building relationships. My manager, Jennifer, she also more recently came on to the brand as an actual business partner. Just a lot of like these different people that have kind of helped to guide me. Specifically also one of my labs that I work with, I'm really, 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 really cool and really good friends with like the CEO of that lab. He's given me a lot of insight as far as like the industry and like makeup. It's always about like pivoting and adapting and changing with what's going on to stay afloat, because what worked 4 years ago isn't necessarily working now, you know?
I feel like it's always so hard to like ask questions because it's like you see someone that you're inspired by and it's like, do I ask? Do I not ask? And I think it's kind of like with our generation and even younger, you have to kind of like get a vibe check to see if you want to ask, because then if you ask in like our industry, then this bitch is coming for me, or like they want something from me and
or
they're
being
being
pretentious or this
or
that.
opportunistic and it's not authentic. But it's always
that's why I'm always
scary.
so huge on relationships with people, like influencers, brands. Like I'm super huge on relationships and making sure that like relationships are solid and that I really do a good job at, you know, cultivating them, because I feel like you said you got to kind of make sure the vibe is right before you like ask something or before you get some advice or whatever. So I think a big part of it is being genuine in those relationships so that people don't feel like you're just trying to come up or use them for anything.
With everything, it being so stressful and so busy and taking a lot of money, why do more on top of the most doing like Club Daddy and stuff like that? And then you have merch, and then you have new product launches, and then you have shoots, and then you still make time to like party. Like you started this during quarantine, and you had the collab with Static John. it's just like I blink and I'm like, how the fuck did she have the time to do all of this?
You know what
What
it
is
is?
it?
It's the balance for me. Because I take a lot of pride in knowing that I work extremely hard. But she needs to decompress, honey.
But it's so funny how you're like, oh, Club Daddy's gonna be a fun thing for me. And then you blink and it's now a business on its own that has a tie. So is it just a passion project or?
I think what it is.
I can't wait till you have like a real club.
Same, honestly. I think what it is like, for me, things have to stem from passion and stem from me actually being excited to do it, whatever it is. There's even things now that I do that like I literally don't get paid for. Doesn't make a difference to me, but I will do them because
it fulfills you.
enjoy it and it fulfills my soul. So things like when I started Club Daddy, that was something that for me was very fulfilling in a lot of different levels. And I started it during quarantine when everyone was going through it. So getting like the hundreds of messages the next day when people are like, oh my God, like I really felt like I was at an actual club and this is what I needed and I've been going through it because of quarantine and I lost my job and this and that, and like this gave me a little escape. Like once all of that starts happening, it becomes like a snowball effect and it just becomes like more fuel and more fuel and more fuel to keep going, to keep doing it. And then when we did the collection, it wasn't so much like, oh, like let's do this collection because we're gonna make all this money. For me, it was like, let's do this collection because I don't know when this moment, this era, for a lack of a better word, of like COVID and quarantine and like Club Daddy, like I don't know when it's gonna end, but it's gonna come to an end eventually. And I felt like I wanted to do something to almost like have it in a tangible way forever,
to give people like,
you know
a
what I
sense
mean?
of hope, because that's what it was for me. Like actually you were begging me, bitch, to do this home cello performance. And then
which by the way, we're doing home cello round 2 this year.
I'm
and
dead.
We need to anniversary this performance moment, Fabian.
I'm dead because you literally were like, Patriana, we need
and it was sickening.
it was just so silly because
It was
I was
fun.
sitting there and I didn't tell anybody, and I think it was like
I
the
had to
night
beg you.
before. It was the night before, and I told Peter, Zach, and Fabian. I was like,
Fabian
oh
had
yeah,
to talk
Angel
some
asked
sense into
me,
you.
and I was like, they're like, no, you're gonna do it, and I was like, no, and we busted out a costume, a wig, and-
Multiple. She had ripaways.
yes, and then we had a projection show.
It
but
was so much fun.
no, but it also gave me hope that to look forward to something, because I think, when was that? That was last summer, 2020,
April.
like in the middle, like right after the beginning of quarantine.
It was when shit got real.
Yeah.
When shit got real with curfews, when shit got real, when literally everything shut down. As people, like
Especially
I've
you.
never experienced that. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me I can't go to catch?
It's crazy because you literally rallied everyone
Girl,
from Desi to
I
Manny.
did. And you know what was
to-
cool is like I just felt like just so much love because when I was like reaching out to people to do it, people were so open to do
We
it.
all did it.
Yeah. And
Desi was pregnant, not
Desi
even,
was
she
pregnant.
was pregnant
Yeah.
and not even open about her pregnancy.
she had told me that she was pregnant.
When you asked her?
She told me like a few days before the actual thing. She sent me a photo because she was trying to find something to wear and she was like, I need to like hide it. I remember just being so fucking shook when I saw the photo. I just thought it was really cool that everyone was like so open and willing, and I think it's because we knew what it was for and what it was doing for people
And what
at
it meant for
home.
our fans, because
Yeah.
we didn't know how to cope, because you go from like going to brand event to going out to
Literally
just-
remember like I
Yeah.
feel like I was seeing you like 3 times a week. I like literally like pre-COVID, like at events or
Yeah.
this or that, and
Yeah.
we always end up
To
going to fucking catch
nothing.
after, you know.
Yeah.
And literally just being so scared because we're like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, it was very new and foreign. It's moments like that I think people are gonna remember that.
And then we're gonna be business partners and opening up a club. I'll do the drag
Exactly.
brunch, you do the nightlife, and we'll just switch.
Exactly.
Imagine the both of us opening up a club.
No, that would be
in
sickening.
WeHo.
That would be
I'll do the
sickening.
drag brunch, and then you do the
And
night.
we'll have La Demi as the hostess.
Literally the demi. Oy vey, oy vey. Now, what happened to drag? Because I will say, you know what? Out of everyone,
I have to go.
You hate,
I have to go.
You hate when I bring up your drag past, but I feel like
'Cause
from
it's so- it's
coming
'cause it's
out,
so
from
in the
being
past.
dragged out, and it's crazy because when I bump into
I'm
you
gonna
and,
need
and
another
you have
shot
your,
if we're gonna talk
when
about
when I
this.
have your entourage, can we get another shot for her? What are you so ashamed of? Like in it,
It's not that I'm ashamed
It
of it.
is. Like whenever I say, oh, like a girl like Roxy or so and
Mm-hmm.
so, like where's Nevaeh? I want to book her for a one size event. They're like, girl, you're gonna have. Is it what you don't want to shave? Like you have a pretty face,
I'm never shaving my face. Let's start there.
girl.
Girl, I would literally if
the
I
price
shave,
is right,
no girl.
Andrew,
We gotta
co-sign me
we
here.
We need to be talking like 6 figures at least for that moment.
But for a friend,
After
I don't showed up for drag for you, bitch. I think on the record,
that's what you do. But that's what you do.
That's what you do.
That's what you do.
If next time I'm invited to a campaign shoot, I'm gonna have a behind the scenes GoPro just sitting there talking about how much drag you do.
I would literally look like a 17-year-old lesbian, and that is not okay. That is not okay. And you
so
know
I'd like to welcome to the stage Nevaeh. Here's take this shot really quick.
I'm dead. Okay, let's talk about it. I've never really talked about it.
You act like it's so taboo, and that
you know why?
not.
Can I be honest with you?
Is what is it?
To be very, very transparent.
Tell me.
It was like a really interesting time in my life. It just had its pros and its cons. Like the pros were like learning more about makeup and doing my makeup and playing with like the idea of creating looks. You know what I mean? And like hair, makeup, whatever. But when I was actually doing it, like I would do shows and the girls were never nice to me, like ever. They were never nice to me. I also had a very traumatic experience with dating. I also was in a place where I was very naive, and I also was at a place where I was trying to figure out myself. I've actually never have said this like ever, but when I was doing drag, I met someone that I dated.
As Nevaeh?
Yeah. So I would perform at this club in downtown Riverside called Menagerie. In Raven, you know Raven?
Yes.
She hosted it. It was every Thursday night. And I would do the show. I had a monthly, like it was like once a month. They would like rotate the cast. A lot of straight guys would go. Like a lot of straight people. Like it was just very like kind of like the Abbey. You know how like the Abbey is like that mix? And I met someone, and I met them like the night that I was performing. And like I think just like wanting a sense of validation, wanting like I don't know, like I was going through like a really weird time. It was very confusing. And I literally had thoughts of like
transition.
Like is this what I want? Like
transitioning.
Yeah, like to a certain extent, yeah, because you know I was like seeing someone, but they only wanted to see me in a certain way.
You're 20, 21.
I was 20 years old. No, I wasn't even 21 yet. I think I was like literally 20 years old.
And this club was probably 18 plus.
No, it was 21. But when you are in drag, like who really cares, right? Like do they just let you in? It was just a really weird time in my life. You know what I mean? And it was a time where I was really trying to figure out myself.
All the times that I've asked you, and all the times that we've kikied, like now on the mic and in front of all these cameras, like now I know.
I thought you wanted the exclusive.
Of course I want the exclusive, but it's like now it makes sense. Well, but now I'm gonna feel bad asking
because we're actually
for her.
talking about it. You know what I mean? So it was just like I just got sucked into this like idea of what I thought that I was because of what someone was
wanting
and making me feel. You know what I mean? And it was a really naive time in my life.
You had like an identity crisis between
basically
moving forward with this because this passion, intimate side feels fulfilled from him and validated from a person,
and versus like really myself. You know. So when I closed that chapter, I felt like for me it was like I'm closing a chapter of like the side, like a part of my life where like I didn't even really know who I was. So that's why for me like now it's like I don't know. I think that's why I have like
then Mac Daddy was born.
Yeah,
which is a masculine.
It happened.
name.
No, it happened like simultaneously because I was working at Mac while this was happening. I was literally working at Mac during the day and I'd perform at night. I think that's why it's kind of weird for me to talk about it because when I think about that time in my life, I don't think about like like the fun on stage and all this stuff. I think about like the other end of it that was just a really weird time for me and like the identity crisis vibe and just like being comfortable within my own skin. I feel like now as a 30-year-old gay man that wears makeup, I have never felt more confident, self-aware, and just like the love that I have for myself. I've never felt this way more than I do now. Like I'm fully aware of what I am, who I am, what I want, what I don't want. I've learned to set boundaries for myself when it comes to people around me, friendships, relationships, family. It takes a minute to really have that and own that. So when I think of the Nevaeh days, I think of someone that is just not what I am now at all to any capacity. Just the way that I felt about myself, the way that I just everything, just my life. So that like that's why it's weird.
I
for me
relate
to talk
100%.
about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I relate 100% because a lot of people were knocking me with the makeup and the wig because they're like, "You're so fish. You should transition." And I still don't feel it to this day, although I'm sitting here fish as fuck. But it's just not me, and that's why.
Have you ever had thoughts?
No.
Ever?
No. I think the reason why I started to dress a certain way or become more feminine was to inspire women that they too can be glam. And so I feel like if as a man that I can
you've never woken up one day and said like or questioned like should I transition?
No, never.
Okay.
I'm so real and honest with that answer.
When I had those thoughts when I was 19 years old, I only had those thoughts not because that's what I felt inside, but I had those thoughts because of what someone else wanted and the way that they were making me feel and me not wanting that to go
I never
away.
experienced that, but I think growing up from 18 to 19 to 20, I saw Roxy Andrews, Angelica Sanchez, Tyra Sanchez, like in my clubs back in the day when Pulse was still around in Parliament House in Orlando. And so I knew that these are men, and I would see them out of drag and then become female impersonators. And even before RuPaul's Drag Race, that made me so inspired to become this feminine persona and become self-aware, even to this day.
And it took me a minute, not gonna lie, to own how flamboyant I was. Even like when I first moved to LA, Mac Daddy was a thing and I was doing my thing on social media. When I would go out to like clubs and stuff, I would never wear makeup. It's like one thing to like put makeup on and you're at home and you're taking a photo and you're posting it versus like seeing someone face to face and you're literally wearing a full face of makeup. And I just remember like it took me a minute to be comfortable with just even that concept and being out in public. And like now, like I don't care, like bitch, I'll go to Target like full lashed. Like I wish somebody would, but it takes a minute to really own like everything that you are, you know. Going back to like the Neve days and being confused and then all this stuff, like it literally, I feel like I'm comfortable in my own skin and it takes a minute.
So is it fair to say that since you're so confident and self-aware in who you are,
I know where you're
that
going
we
with
can
this.
have a kiki one day for charity?
If it was for a good cause,
Of course. Makeup is a one size fits all.
I might need a production budget for, you know, for the moment.
We'll talk. I'm so like, if anyone I feel like is gonna bring you out of Nevea out of the closet, it's gonna be me,
like
and a few drinks.
Like you would literally have to like
no, but the
dig
fucked up
her
part,
out of the grave.
but the fucked up part is
like-
that I know once we cross that threshold, you'd be all in production, dancers, lighting, reveals, very Super Bowl of you. I just already know. So I see it. So that's the fucked up part. It's just getting you there.
if I was going to do it, of course it needs to be all of those things. But I don't know.
You're such full
I
of
don't
shit.
know.
But
why
because
can't I
you-
just perform as me with dancers?
I just want the fantasy. Who doesn't want the fantasy? If you guys want to see the fantasy, comment on the latest picture because you stay doing the most. And with that being said, we have a segment called Doing the Most. Are you ready?
Ooh.
Hit it.
Doing the most, bitch.
All right. Who do you think is doing the most?
Nikita Dragon.
That's what Ariel said.
Really?
Yeah, why?
Who is her creative director? She literally has a look for like every single day of the year. I can barely put a look together like every like few months. Like she
Right.
stays doing the most. She was
Yes.
just rolling around in some oil today.
Yeah, and in tar. It was tar.
Was it Tar?
Tar.
There you go.
wings and
Doing
a
the
wig.
most.
What means the most to you?
My mom.
When were you the most messy?
Oh, we just being really lit at Penthouse in West Hollywood. You know what time
I
it
was
was
there
at that
I
club.
I think our producer Des was there too.
Des, were you there?
Yeah, it was her birthday.
Yeah.
This is obviously pre-COVID.
And I'm sad. You know they demolished that entire building.
And that's where we're gonna sign our lease.
We need
For
to
Club
bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
You'll do upstairs, I'll do downstairs.
Period.
Why were you messy? Was it the napping or was it the chugging?
I think it was a combination of the chugging and then the twerking and then the napping.
Next, last but not least, what is the most expensive thing you have?
Probably my car.
Your car.
I think
You
so.
picked me up in your car.
I did. You remember?
With your broken foot.
Bitch, my gout foot.
Your gout foot. You were limping. You were so. I think
was.
there was a night where dining opened up and you were like, I'm coming through. I'm coming
Bitch.
through.
And I came through with a little fucking chancla, like
a hotel slipper from one of your
Period.
stays, and she limped over in your new car. Sickening. Well, Angel, thank you so much for coming today. You're such an inspiration and a great time. I love you and thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with all of us here on Say Yes to the Guest.
Oh, I love you so much. I'm so glad we finally did this.
Yes. All right, guys, if you guys want to follow Angel Merino for all the bad bitch vibes, follow him at Mac Daddy and Artist Couture, and head to Say Yes to the Guest for all the beautiful behind the scenes and giveaways. See you next time.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Say Yes to the Guest. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast and follow at Say Yes to the Guest on all social platforms. Remember, you are successful. Now go out and be the bad bitch you truly are. Can't wait to chat with you next time. Bye.